Hello and welcome to today's content, which will focus on 9S since he has been released and updated on the War Division's Calculus website. I'll be analyzing his abilities and giving my perspective and insight on the unit and giving him a rating out of 10 to see if he's worth building or worth using. And without further ado, let's begin. So for the main job takeaways for 9S is going to be the Yorha number 9 type S. So important things to note is that on the left side is going to be base unit, right side is going to be the EX bonuses except for one of them, which is going to be something I'll talk about in a few moments. So the shield deployment is going to be one of his main buffs. It's going to give defense and spirit to his allies, a decent amount. His EX buff for it also gives him protect for 30 turns, which is very nice. That means he can physically tank very effectively. For a Cyclonic Spear Shot, it's going to be an AoE as well as a cancel ability activation, which is like Jammer Thrust. If they're casting magic or something, it can be cancelled pretty much. His EX upgrade is going to be the Cyclonic Spear Shot Plus, where it also decreases agility by 20%, so it's pretty nice, especially since it's an AoE. Next up is going to be the Assault Field, where it increases attack and accuracy up to 40%, which is huge because it's also for allies, it's not just for himself. So this is a very significant buff considering he does not have 100% ability. 40 accuracy is no small amount. Next up is going to be hacking. So hacking is going to be the typeless attack where it's not mitigated by attack types outside of single target resistance. However, it's still in the physical attack for 9S specifically, so it will hit defense, so defense can still mitigate against it properly. It's not an EX upgrade, but it's on his passive for stun hacking. So it's basically an upgraded version. The range goes up to 5 tiles away, and it also has a 25% chance to stun for 1 turn. So it's a very nice upgrade, but you have to consider it does take up a passive. For his EX ability or skill, he gets the Linear Spear Shot Plus. So what this does is it's pretty far range for 4 tiles. Does 200% damage, and it does a Pierce in Peril of 25%. So this is very nice, very nice to have. It's like Kane, but a little bit better by 5%. And his limit break is going to be the neural hacking, where it increases his defense penetration up to 40%, and it's going to be a typeless attack, and the range is a little bit shorter, but it's not bad. And this is his only way to get defense penetration unless he has outside resources for it. But this is going to be where he gets his main defense penetration. Moving on to the sub-job takeaways. For his main job sub-job, he's going to get the double spear thrust, which does a very small amount of damage. However, it does hit twice, so it can potentially do a decent amount of chaining if he lands his Pierce in Peril first before using this. Target scan it lowers the defense and agility of units in its AoE. However, it is a TP ability, so using it on auto you will need significant ability toggling for him to use this. If he does use it at all, we would have to see and test. But if he does use it, this is a super good ability. If he doesn't, unfortunately on auto, that's very unfortunate. For his Viking sub job, he gains he's gonna be getting basically more damage or immobile. It's gonna be from Knee Breaker for the mobilize, and Killing Axe is gonna be AoE damage, which I think he has a good amount of damage already. I don't know if he necessarily needs Killing Axe. I mean, obviously Killing Axe is going to be his hardest hitting ability, but it doesn't have defense penetration on his limit. He has to have his limit break first, so it would be a setup in general. For his Nightblade sub job, he does get double resist, which is very nice because it increases the pierce and missile resistance, so it helps his team even more for utility. Stunblade, he does have his stun hacking already, but Stunblade is also much cheaper to use if he's close range, so it's maybe if he doesn't have AP, he can use that there. Drain Rush is also decent because he's really physically tanky. If he's actually dealing significant amount of damage to someone in a 1v1 scenario and he's able to drain HP back up and they are physical damage type, then he can maybe win out or even just drain all their resources. So it's something to think about. So we move on to his resistances and his passives. So for his types of damage typing resistances, he's going to be at -10 to magic. And however, he is 0% to strike, 5% to missile, 10% to slash, and 20% to pierce. If this doesn't look like, oh wow, wait, 2B actually doesn't deal much to him unless she uses only her pugilist subjob, and that is correct. He is very effective in what he is resistant to. However, he is still weak to magic. It's also important to note that he is a machine type, not a human, so he doesn't get the benefits of, he doesn't get the disadvantage of people using like Odin or something against him. So that's very important to think about. 2B also has this, I believe, but I did not mention it. Hopefully if you're watching both of these, you hear me here now. But yeah. So for the statuses, he has 50% to slow, which is very good, and 50% to disable, which is the best that you can probably gain. That is very effective for him. 10% to confusion is not bad. And for his master ability, he's going to get the mono lightning master ability, which is very good. Unfortunately, right now, there are not too many lightning units we can use right now, like to get like a super big bonus, but it's not bad. He also gains defense plus 10 for himself, which is very good because his physical damage taking capabilities are very high. Just like 2B, he has a move 3 jump 2, so he's versatile in what he can move around with, and he is a cost 80. We do get him for free though, so it's basically up to you if you want to build him or not, despite his cost. So for his passives and what I can recommend, I'm going to say Nightblade Mastery is going to be for the accuracy and the damage, Hacking Enhancement for the stun hacking, but if you want him to be more mobile or get more turns out, or maybe even support his team more, booster system is going to be good, and that increases his agility and his move, so he can get up to 4 move to jump, which is going to make him run around the map pretty fast. Viking lore is also very good because he has a good amount of HP, so the HP and attack from Viking lore can actually significantly help like him not only deal damage but also like gain more HP for survivability. For the niche and flex passives, unfortunately unyielding protection is not going to be too useful. I mean 15% missile resistance is not bad, but if he does use double resist from his Nightblade subjob, it's kind of like double dipping into that, and I believe there's better usage slots for his passives. For his reaction abilities, just like 2B as well, he does get a perfect evade, which he has the 15% chance for the reflex to physical damage. It's pretty nice to have. He has counter swing, which is unfortunately it's only a single slot away, and most of his abilities are long range to mid range. He won't really be using that very often. Fighting Spirit also has a chance to inflict a berserk on him, which is a problem because most of his kit is debuffing or helping his teammates and does not involve auto attacking often. So if anything, perfect evade will be better in almost all scenarios. Counter swing is very niche, and Fighting Spirit I would highly recommend not using specifically for 9S because you want him to be using his abilities pretty much like at all times. Some units like kind of like Dwayne have a very hard hitting auto attack ability, so Berserk is not too bad, but there's a lot more 9S can do outside of auto attacking. And now we are at the 9S rating out of 10. So at release, I have to say I do agree with 9S being a 9.5 out of 10. Especially as a free unit too, that is a very good rating in my opinion. The reason why is that he's a very versatile attacker with Pierce, Typeless, and Slash type damages. His base defense is 22. Literally that is very good. If he's a max unit, level 120, 22 defense is very, very good. He's very good at taking physical beatings basically. He's able to provide defense and spirit buffs to his team, as well as more resistances if he has the Nightblade subjob, so it's very nice. He has a Pierce Imperil at 25%, which is very nice to have. His Limit Break gives him up to 40% defense penetration if maxed, which is pretty good. He can deal a lot of debuffs to the enemy, such as like agility, attack, and magic, as well as even stuns. So he has a lot of utility in terms of debuffing and buffing for his team. He has a physical damage reflex, which is very nice to have. It couples with his physical resistances. He has a lot of mid to long range abilities with mostly single target abilities, but he does have a few AoE, so it's not too bad. His kit allows him, like, even though he has a lot of supported kits, he can still deal a decent amount of DPS. Not as a main DPS, but he does do a good amount of DPS. His weapon is going to be very important for him because it gives 30 elemental, like his lightning attack. So even his typeless lightning element attack can gain damage based off this, so it's very important to have. He has good AP generation abilities, especially with how much they cost. It can generate AP for him pretty well. He has 3 move and 2 jump, and he can get up to 4 move with his passive, so it's very nice to have. Most importantly, he has disable resistance, which is a huge status resistance to have because it allows him to be not locked down basically in how his usability can be used. Also, I didn't have it here in text specifically, but he is a machine unit, not a human. So human killer does not actually work on 9S specifically. It's the same with 2B. I did not put on hers as well. I apologize for that. I'll try to keep on top of it in the future. But yeah, they are both machine units, so they do not have any negativity towards human killer units. So I'm not gonna say it innately makes them tankier, but it lets them have more survivability in general compared to general like Esper builds, pretty much. So for the future longevity, however, I did put 9S at an 8.5 because I do believe he detiers a little bit, but it's not significant where he's irrelevant. So the reasons why is that he's very reliant on his limit break for defense penetration, which is unfortunately not on a passive or something that he can just use like easily. His defense debuff is on a TP skill that we don't even know if his AI will prioritize well or use it significantly, because they prioritize damage most of the time. He has no healing power down either on his Nightblade subdrop, unfortunately. His passives are very limited to either adding a little bit more HP or damage or utility, but there's no defensive options, nothing for spirit, nothing for defense or resistances. He's able to pair up in the future with Charlotte, which does help her with missile and pierce resistances, but because Charlotte has her own debuffs scenarios as well as her own defense and spirit buffs for herself, it kind of overlaps with 9S, so it looks a little bit grim for him on terms of pairing up with Charlotte there. I believe he would probably do better with Cloud, but that's also arguable. He also does not have high enough damage to be the only DPS if there's an enemy tank. He has a good attack stat line and good damage modifiers, however he does not have the same damage DPS such as like Auron, Tidus, 2B basically. He's not able to compete with them in terms of that type of damage. He has no hate generation either, so he cannot be a true tank, and he has to be frontline to be able to take damage, but he has a lot of long range abilities, so he's not going to be out in the front, basically is what I'm saying. He's weak to mostly magical damage due to his resistances and has 0 base spirit. He does have access to cloth armor, which is good for spirit stuff and magic, but outside of that, he has to use those basically if he wants to get resistance. He has no 100% hit abilities, so he's not ideal against evasion units. However, he does have an attack percent and accuracy up buff for his teammates, so it's not reliable, but it's not completely useless either. He's very reliant on his buffs for his utility, for his teammates, and it unfortunately can be dispelled very, very easily because it's not like a barrier or status, which is much harder to dispel because it has more significant, it needs significant conditions to be cancelled out that way. Also, lastly, because his typeless attacks can unfortunately only work off like either elemental or like certain attack modifiers, it's a little bit hard to build up on that, especially with like vision cards and stuff. It would have to be more either elemental related or like target related, such as like AoE or single target. And we'll talk about his TMR, which is going to be the Yorha Combat Clothes, which it's a cloth armor type, has 382 HP, which is it's very low unfortunately for armor, but I mean it's not too bad. The 10 defense is nice, and the crit avoid is just there. It's not bad. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because mostly you're not gonna see its usage often in auto PvP. Well, like auto PvP. Yeah, sorry, not auto PvP as often. However, I think it has significant value in live PvP, and I say this specifically because it nullifies sleep, confusion, and charm for allies for 3 turns, and it gives them regen. The regen it's not bad to have. I don't think it's like anything crazy, but I think the nullifying sleep, confusion, and charm is huge because if the enemy manual team has a single charmer and that's like a big part of their kit, being able to nullify charm for 3 turns is huge. Like that is very good turn tempo basically. But yeah, overall I gave the TMR chasing an 8 out of 10. I would say it's more catered towards manual PvPers or hardcore PvPers, but auto not so much. And here we are, different builds for setting up 9S. So if you wanted him to be full utility and support and just like be an annoyance, just constantly debuffing and stuff, I would go with this setup with Titus Necklace for the magic resistance, the new accessory we get from the challenge board for the single target resistance, and then Yuna's TMR specifically so that he can heal his team if he needs to be, at least a one-time usage. Golem is specifically here because it has a 3rd star awakening like early, so that coupled off the whatchamacallit, Man-Eater and the defense allows him to be super tanky. And I put Fenrir mostly as the vision card because Yunas are still going to be around, especially even in the future there's going to be more magic users, so having magic resistance is going to be very nice for him in general. For a balanced usage, obviously he's going to be using his weapon for a good amount of damage. He's using the Fides Lucerna because of the slash resistance, and using Titus's TMR for defense and agility because he wants that agility and he wants that defense, so this is more of like a flexed balanced build because Titan also gives Spirit as well, and it also gives him a Pierce attack up, so it's going to be nice for him to gain all those benefits. As I said earlier, Fenrir vision card for the magic resist. If you want him as a full-time DPS, which is possible, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be like as good as compared to other full-time DPSs. You're going to be using Titus's necklace for the crit damage, Bells because of AP. He's going to be using Odin specifically because outside of 9S and 2B, everyone else is basically a human unit, so using that human killer modifier is going to help him significantly, and it also helps him on his typeless attack modifiers. I specifically put dashing in the snow here because it helps him with his pierce attack, and if we want full on DPS, this is what you want for his pierce attack because most of his attacks are pierce. You can however use like human killer stuff such as like Titan, or you can also use like Demon Wall if you want a little bit of slash resistance as well. But yeah, in terms of min-max damage, I believe the 35 pierce attack from dashing through the snow would be more significant on him. And we arrived to the end of the video. As always, if you liked my unit analysis on 9S, please leave a like and subscribe. And until the next video, which should be maybe Holy Flan or UR Mont, or maybe, I don't know, maybe summer units, or we'll see, I don't know. But yeah, until the next video, peace out guys.